you invented the 80s. Without you, it would have gone 1979, 1990. Because when you look at the pictures of you guys in Miami Vice, we think that you were in 80s fashion, but you kind of created these fashions.
Yeah, actually, our costume designer came back from Italy, and she had all of these new designers. Gianni Versace was relatively brand new then. I don't think he had one store. Neither did Giorgio Armani. And she came back, and she's handing out all of this stuff, and, you know, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, these kind of look like pajamas. I mean,
you're kind of right.
Yeah. And so my style there of the T-shirt, no socks, no belt, was a function of how fucking hot it was in Miami. I mean, it wasn't really sort of thought out. It was just organic. I started just removing articles of clothing.
And the movie's called Cold in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must have spent time in England then.
I think it's more important that we discuss the fact that you've named your dog after me.
No, I didn't name my dog after you.
Really? I heard that you did. You see, this is how rumors get started.
Well, no, my dog is called Madge, but...
What does that mean?
Well, it was a rescue dog, right? And when I went to the... Wait! It was a rescue dog, and when I went to the rescue place, they'd already called her Madonna. And I thought, I can't have a dog called Madonna. So I called her Madge.
Does that help you separate things?
You know, I've got two dogs, so what was I going to call the other one? You know, Madonna. You know.
What's your other dog's name?
Bailey.
Not Gaga.
But Matthew, the odd thing is, after all these years, it isn't The Lion King. That isn't the film people come up to you about most.
Yeah.
What is it still?
Ferris Bueller, probably.
Woo!
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, they still remember some of the oldies, and that one's one of them.
What do they say? Just like, I like that movie, or do they shout things at you?
They say, is this your day off? Hey, Matt.
Hey, your day off today.
Is your day off today?
I'll tell you what they say. It's your quote at the beginning of the movie. You know, sometimes, what is it exactly?
Life moves pretty fast. Sometimes you gotta stop and look around, I think is what it is.
Yeah. Look around, or you miss the whole thing. So.
Yeah. There you are, yes.
Can I just tell you, for a moment when I saw that movie when I was young, and I mean this sincerely.
You would have been very young.
Well, I've watched it multiple times. So the movie is good when you're young and old. That's the cool thing about
one of the greatest films.
Performances. Thank you. And you literally got me to start living my life to the fullest, just with that performance. Aww. So thank you very much.
I heard you tell a story about Paul Newman teaching you something very specific on The Color Money.
I remember we were doing Color Money, and I went actually from Top Gun to Color Money, and we were shooting Color Money in Chicago. And I tried my wardrobe on in the summer, and I was like, I'm gonna have a leather jacket and T-shirt, you know, and I'm gonna have my hair blown back. It's guaranteed up to 90 miles an hour. And there I am in January, and I'm shooting this scene. And I remember in the script, it was like outside, I didn't think about it. Wardrobe's like, yeah, it looks great. And I am doing this scene, and I'm telling you, it's so cold, I can't even speak. And I'm in between takes, and he's in a car, and I'm running to this area. They're trying to thaw. And Newman's like, where's the kid? You know, where's the kid? It's like, I'm just trying to, he's like, where's the kid? So I have this scene where he's in the car, and I'm next to him. And I look in, I'm like, what? He had the warm coat. He had the heater in there, but it was an electric heater, okay? And he just loved the fact that he's driving this car, and he's got the electric heater, the warm coat, and I'm in the T-shirt, and he looked at me, he's like, T-shirt. He said, you tried your wardrobe on in the summer, didn't you? And I was like, yes, sir, I did. He's like, watch and learn, kid. Watch and learn.
Were you a science fiction fan before Alien? Or did that kind of define your life in many ways, that you were cast in that role?
You know, I read some science fiction stories, but I never... You know, I was much more interested in adventure when I was growing up. I always had my nose in a book, but I found the science fiction a little cold and cerebral. So, you know, I sort of have backed my way into this world, but I love it now, and I really love people who to me, science fiction, as Jim Cameron says, it is the exploration of what it is to be human. Yeah. And so it's always relevant because it's always taking place in the future. And I think it's just a wonderful genre, and I'm proud I've done, 5, movies in it.
And I can't end tonight without talking about probably the most iconic scene you've been in, the scene in Alien when the creature bursts out of the chest, John Hurt's chest.
You've spoilt it for me now.
It's going to ruin your experience.
I can remember. We got told to be quiet when we went to see it because we were screaming too much. No, and you've got to think it's meant to make you scream. We obviously overdid it slightly. But
what kind of gang were you with, Graham?
Well, no, but I read, and this seems incredible. I mean, you and other cast members talking about the filming, that in that scene with John Hurt, that you weren't entirely clear about what was going to happen.
We knew what happened in the script. We knew that something came out of John Hurt's chest because his line was, "Oh my goo-ah." Yes. And he never delivered that line. He came up with something better. But when we got down to the set, everyone was in raincoats, which should have given us a clue. We knew that this would happen, but we did not know how they would make it happen because this was before CGI. So everything you see in the film is actually happening. And I think there's a great master where you see the whole cast kind of going, because something does happen. It happened effortlessly with just a few, I don't know, hoses and things like that. And we're all just astonished because it was so real.
I do want to mention Footloose to you, and I'm not going to go on and on about it, because all right, I'm going to go on and on about it. Because presumably there was a time in your life when Footloose was a bad thing for you because you were kind of trapped in that kind of teen idol.
Well, that's the way I felt. I mean, it probably really wasn't a bad thing. It was a great thing. I just couldn't appreciate it at the time. At the same time, people come up to me and say, I loved you in Footloose. And I say, have you been to the movies in the last 20 years? Because there's been a couple more. I go to bar mitzvahs, weddings, parties. I have to go up to the DJ, give him $20 and say, please don't play the song, because what happens is inevitably... And that'll probably happen here tonight.
No.
The song comes on, it's like dong da dong da dong da dong da dong da dong. Everyone starts looking at me. And then a kind of a circle forms around me. And this starts happening. And I'm supposed to start performing like a trained monkey or something. And right. I know you, Graham.
Not on my watch, sir. Did you meet a Beetlejuice fan?
Oh, yeah. This is tremendous. What happened was, I think it was the last shot of the film, and we're shooting, well into the morning, and one of the guys on the crew says, "Michael, come here," and there's a guy standing there, like this, really bored, who had been on his way somewhere to his job or home from his job to see his girlfriend or someone or something, do something, I don't know what it was. So the guy grabbed him and brought him over. He said, there's a guy standing there, and the crew guy says, "Show him." He rolls his sleeve up like this, on flesh, an unbelievably well-detailed and really beautiful tattoo of Beetlejuice.
Actually, I think we've got a picture. I think somebody took a picture of it. There's the actual...
Yeah, look how good that is.
Look at that. It's amazing.
Isn't it? It's extraordinary. Yeah. And I go, holy moly, this is extraordinary. I'm looking at it, I'm going, what? I'm asking him all these questions, and he's just standing there looking, and then I finish, and he says, "You done?" And he goes like this. He rolls his sleeve down and goes over and gets back up on his bike and keeps on going. He never put the two together. He never went, "Oh my God, there, here you are." Never didn't nothing.
I like to think, like, 3 blocks down the corner and go, wait a minute. You were approached into, you weren't so sure, because you were known as kind of the Austrian Oak at that stage.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You weren't sure you wanted to act with the Austrian Oak?
Not at all. Only because I was a snotty New York actress, You move from New York, you're training with, Lee Strasberg, and, you can't go to L.A., it'll ruin you. You can't do L.A. movies, they suck. I mean, New York is tough. So here's Arnold starring in this film, and my people were very excited, and I was like, I don't know. I'm going to see for myself. But I actually went to set to see him.
You never told me that story.
I know. But told everybody else.
So you were hesitating working with me?
I was.
Oh, you believe that?
But no, but history is a great thing. History is a lovely thing. But it's quite a complicated thing because you were married to James Cameron. So when the three of you got back together again, was it the same as then, or was it more difficult? Was it less difficult? What was it like?
Like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it can be more difficult than in the first movie. It was already very difficult then.
Yeah.
But the first movie, let's not forget, was a small movie. Was a small budget movie. It was kind of an independent movie with $6.5 million. We had to go out and do certain shots in Hollywood without the permits. We didn't even have permits. I remember one time I got out of the car and he says, go across this street here on Sunset and go over to this car and punch the window in the front. I need that shot.
And we didn't even own that car. It was like a random car.
So I walked across the street, you know, kind of like Terminator-esque, like, and then boom, boom, boom. And then I looked around, boom, punched through the window, you know, and reached inside. And
then the cops came.
Exactly. That's the way we shot the first movie. It was like $6.5 million. And so the second one was then over $100 million.
Yeah.
So it really kind of elevated.
But what's amazing is it was the little movie, and then it just became huge. It influenced so many people. Like, because even, I mean, your last album was...
Yes.
Is that where Pollinator came from?
That's where Pollinator came from.
No.
Absolutely. I was sitting there and I was thinking, Terminator. Ah, yeah, the Terminator. Pollinator.
What's the story about you with the police? That you were chased by the police, or you thought? What was the thing with the... It was a car chase.
I had a hot rod when I was a kid, and I was driving down what's called the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey, and I kept racing against this other car, and I thought that he wanted to race my hot rod. Well, I went through what is a toll plaza. We have a lot of tolls in Jersey, and before I knew it, he zipped in front of me, zipped in back of me. I was surrounded by guys with guns because they were transporting prisoners in the car, and I was racing against state troopers. Transporting some murderers. Like, I'm playing at the bar tonight. You want to come and see me play? You know, so the bad guy in the back seat wanted to go to the show, but the cops...
Yeah, we're busy.
Yeah.
We can't. Now, you mentioned your foundation. The work, I mean, that is a phenomenal amount of money that you've raised over the years.
Yeah, it's been incredible. We have all credit to our staff and our leadership. Debbie Brooks is my co-founder, and she's amazing. And they just, the only thing I tell you is that we've been in business for 20 years and we've spent $1 billion on research. I wish we had the answer, but we don't have it yet. My fondest hope would be by this point we would have it. But we're certainly on our way. We're the pointy part of the spear. We're really going into areas that we're getting into now, imaging and finding biomarkers, ways you can identify the disease before symptoms are evident, and therefore treat it prophylactically and effectively have a cure. Although it's not finding the cause and then the cure, it's cutting it off. But if we can get there in the next 10 years or 5 years, I'll be very happy.
It's fair to say, over the last couple of years, your optimism has been severely tested.
I had a spinal surgery. In addition, I had Parkinson's for 30 years, but I figured that out, and I kind of managed to live my life, and it took up its space, and I filled the rest of the room with the space with my life and with joy and achievement with my family. But then I get this spinal thing. I had a tumor on my spine. I had surgery on that. I had to relearn to walk again. I was in rehab for 5 months to learn how to walk again. Finally learned to walk again. I was alone in my house for the first time ever since this happened. And I walked into the kitchen, I slipped, and I fell down and shattered my arm. So while I was lying down with a broken humerus, I ended up getting 19 pins and a plate in it. I was lying on the kitchen floor waiting for the ambulance to come, and I just thought, this sucks. I'm out of the lemonade business. I can't put a shiny face on this. And then it really sat with me over the time that I healed from the broken arm. I thought, Parkinson's kind of snuck up on me. The spinal cord snuck up on me. But this was just violent and quick and sudden, and it just happened. It just really depressed me. And I thought, well, what about people who have real problems? And I'm telling them, chin up, everything's going to be okay. And maybe it isn't going to be okay. So that led me into what the book is about.